I went to the post office, picked up a couple of packages of comics, and there was also waiting for me a CGC box. This includes 2 big Silver Age keys. We're going to take a look at the grades and the pricing and where these books have been in the last 2 years, because recently they've been on quite different trajectories. Up next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Coming to you with another video. And before we get started, like, comment, subscribe. We've hit 3,000 subscribers, and I'm very grateful to everyone who supported the channel. At the beginning of December, we're going to be doing our 3,000 subscriber giveaway, and I'm going to take the one video from November that has the fewest comments. Now, that does not include my 2,500 subscriber giveaway. The one video with the fewest comments, we'll randomly pick comments from there. You have to subscribe to the channel, give a like, leave a comment, and you're eligible for the giveaways. We're probably going to have at least 3 prizes. I'll let you know more as we get closer to the end of the month. In addition, follow us on the other socials. I'm on Instagram at Bronzeville_comics. Some of these comics, graded comics, you may be able to make a deal with me if you're interested. I also do Whatnot sales every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Bronzeville_comics. There is a link in the description that if you're not yet signed up for Whatnot, you can use that link and get $10 off your first purchase with anyone. It doesn't have to be with me. And there's also a link in the description to my eBay store. So I went to the post office, and you saw in a previous video, I had gotten books clean and pressed by Erod, and he sent them out in different tiers. And the tier that was supposed to be the fastest hadn't come back yet. Well, I checked my email this morning, and I have USPS has what's called informed delivery, where they'll send you email every morning with what mail is coming to your house that day, or in this case to the P.O. box. So I saw that there was a CGC box coming my way. And since it goes to the P.O. box, I don't have to worry about being home when it gets there, that kind of thing. So I just went after work. I had Whatnot packages to drop off, and there were a couple of other items in there, and I just want to take a quick look at these. If you want to just fast forward through this because you're more here for the CGC stuff, that's fine. I don't always remember what I ordered. I know one thing, and it's kind of a little bit of a spec book that I've been picking up pretty consistently for the last year and change. I think it's the other package, actually. And I really want it in high grade. Like I'm looking for something well into the 9s. So we're going to try to extricate this from the package. I'm also going to take a look. The CGC box, there are 2 very big Silver Age keys in there. Both first appearances, and both that have been in the news in the last, let's say, couple of months. So the price of them has been volatile. Oh, no, this is the one. This is an eBay purchase. This is a book I've been looking to pick up in high grade. I have a graded copy of Mark Jeweller's, I think 8.5. But this is really a book you want to get probably at least a 9.2. And I thought this was pretty sharp. It is Action Comics 521, the first appearance of Vixen, who was originally supposed to be DC's first black female superhero, but because of the DC implosion, her title was canceled, and Bumblebee in Teen Titans beat her to the punch. I think it might be a spine tick there, so not a 9.8, but hopefully you can get this into the 9.2, 9.4 range. It looks pretty sharp, and I thought the price was really reasonable. I had seen these books going quite expensively, especially last year when I started to pick them up. Sometimes you could pick them up at a show for almost nothing, and eBay, they were going for like over $100 for, something in like the very fine range, which is not what I was willing to pay. Then I have this is a Whatnot order that I bought. I am not sure what is in here, but it is in a nice comic mailer, well packaged. I will. Okay, and then inside the mailer, and we will save the mailer. By the way, Vixen is something that I pick up because that's weird. I guess these were cheap enough. Not sure I picked these up, to be honest with you. Because she was a really large part of the Justice League Unlimited animated series. And around that time, she was also heavily featured in the comics in Justice League. So I think she's an interesting character. She's had connections to John Stewart. So this is what I picked up. And I thought, let's see, this was a newsstand, but this is one of the things that you get suckered in at. Oh, that's why I picked that one up on Whatnot. So I did pick this one up. This Amazing Spider-Man 294 in a newsstand. Craven's Last Time, but like without even, it's in a Mylar. But look at the corners. The corners are rounded. All of them. There's not a lot of spine stress lines. That is not a high grade book. So, we'll hold on to that maybe till the movie comes out. And then the other book I picked up, which is also a newsstand. This looks like maybe it's a little bit nicer shape. This is just kind of like throw it in a spec box. It's Thor 319, the first appearance of Zaniac. Evidently, Zaniac. There were some set photos from Loki season 2. Some speculation that Zaniac might be coming to Loki season 2. That's kind of like deep spec. Cheap pickup. If it hits, around the time of the show, I don't think it's going to be long-lasting value. Anyway, so we have a CGC box. 2 books. I thought the grades on these books were pretty high for what they are. As a matter of fact, one of these books I have now 3 copies. I actually have recently sold 2. I got 5 copies of it this year. And the other book I have now 4 copies of. So I think in both cases, these should be the highest graded copies I have. And I don't know the grades, so we're going to reveal them. I have what my predictions were. And then we'll talk about fair market value. And we'll talk about these 2 books. They're prominent books in the market. And these are keys regardless of the status of these books in movies or television. But obviously those help drive the value of the book. So we've got this bubble wrap. Nice bubble wrap to save. Okay, these. So I don't know. I don't want to see the grades. I don't know if I'm looking at the front or the back. Okay, that's the top. That's the front. Okay, we'll do that one second. We'll do this one first. That's how we'll do this. So I will not look at the grades. We'll talk about the books. And I'll talk about like what I thought. So this is a copy of Detective Comics 359, the first appearance of Batgirl, the Barbara Gordon version. I picked this up as part of a collection. It was the kind of the showpiece of the collection. It is a pretty high-grade copy. Some spine ticks. And really the one limiting flaw is down there, that color-breaking crease in the bottom right corner. I had sent both of these books out to Erod to get cleaned and pressed because these were big boy books, and I was a little nervous to work on them myself. So I thought this was like about a 7.5. So let's see what it came back as, a 7.0. Okay, that's fine. My current copy is a 5.0. And yeah, 7.0 is fine. It's, it's got a little bit of yellowing in the back there, but all in all, a really, really nice presenting book. So we'll take a look at the FMV, and we're going to talk about the FMV with this, and the what has happened with this book in the market as well. So yeah, I have. I don't know if you can see. Do I have it on the wall back there? I do. I have a 3.0 that I got as part of a trade, and I have a 5.5, which was a graduation present for my daughter. And I have a raw copy, which is lower grade. It's got like the three center wraps are detached. Actually, it was like a book I was looking through, and the center wraps were like in jumbled order. I was like, is it all here? And it was. Okay, the next book is another big book, and another book that has been really moving recently, probably over the last year almost. And it is a copy of Daredevil #1. Right? And it's a reasonably nice copy. I thought there's some tears, small tears on the side there, right? Kind of next to that bottommost box. There's something going on like in Foggy's hair there. So I thought this was about a 4. Is there something on the, no, that's part of the artwork. You know, a really, a pretty nice copy of this book. I have 2 other copies, raw copies, that both have detached covers, and one is a completely split spine. So I thought it was about a 4, and it came back as a 4.5. Very nice. Very happy with that. Awesome. That is a big boy book. We are going to do a little celebration there for that one. Okay, that is awesome. Above my expectation, which is really nice. And first appearance, obviously, of Daredevil. Also, Paige and Foggy Nelson, but their first appearances don't really drive the value of the book. It's the fact that it's Daredevil #1. And of course, we've seen Daredevil now in the MCU, in Spider-Man, in She-Hulk. He's going to get his own series that's going to kind of clean up here, complement that Netflix series. So there we go. This book has been moving quite a bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at these 2 books at these grades. We'll go over the FMV, and we will see exactly what has happened with these books over the last 2 years. We'll take a look at, because that incorporates the comic boom, and we'll see how the volatility of these 2 books. So we'll be back in just a minute as I look up the FMV. Both of these books are interesting because they're both perpetual keys. These are very popular characters. They're not the A-list characters for either Marvel or DC, but they are exceedingly well-known in popular culture. Daredevil's had a movie and a TV series. Batgirl, obviously, has been Batman adjacent since the 1960s, from Yvonne Craig all the way up, has been part of animated projects, and is an exceedingly popular character. So the 7.0 is, there are 190 universal copies on the census, and there are only, about less than 300 above that. So if we look at the sales history in the Universal 7.0, and let's go back to kind of the beginning of the pandemic, it spikes in 2019, and then it kind of went down, and here we see, let's see, February 2020, 1,100. March, right at the beginning of the pandemic, 1,062, 1,025. And then in the summer, it started climbing, and we kind of are in 2021, headed into the comic boom, 1,400, 1,800, 2,350, 1,825, 2,425. Then it's in that kind of low to mid 2000s range, and then we have a jump here to earlier this year of $3,000 in April 2022, and then the last couple of sales the book has come down. Now let's take a look at the grades on either side. If we take a look at the 7.5, let's look at the trajectory, and we see something similar, even more stark, 4,000 in March down to 1,900. So again, the book has been chopped in half since the beginning of the year, basically that announcement of the, let's look at the 6.5 on the other side, when the movie was canceled. And here, a little less volatility in the 6.5 earlier this year in the 2,000 range, but still dropping down to the 1,000 range. So it has, in these grades, lost about half of its value. We see that Daredevil's done a much better job at recently maintaining its value. So it was a book that you could get for, 5-6 years ago for $1,000 to $1,500. And then it really jumped. Again, it started to climb at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. And it hit its high of 6,300 in July of 2021. Then it dipped a little bit, and then it went back up right around the time that we saw him in No Way Home. And it hasn't really fully corrected. We see a little bit of an uptick here. Obviously, the news for Daredevil, as opposed to Batgirl, has all been good. That we're getting a Disney Plus series. We saw him in She-Hulk. So that sale last month for $5,500 is pretty strong. If we look at grades on either side of it, and we want to see their trajectory there as well, we don't want to be looking at aberrational data. And here it's about the same, right? It hits this spike in the comic boom. It starts to correct, but then it's bounced back and bounced back again. And Daredevil is going to continue to be relevant. Let's look at the 5.0. Let's go at the higher end of the grade range and see. And we see the same sort of trend. We saw an enormous increase here to $7,600 in May, and it really hasn't come down. Now, there hasn't been an uptick because there hasn't been a sale since August in a 5.0. So we'll see. There was a best offer accepted we see down here, but that, again, is August. The things have propelled Daredevil with the Netflix announcement, or the appearance in She-Hulk. So if we want to compare the two books, obviously the Daredevil book is more valuable. It's about 2.5 years older, and it is a #1 issue of a character that has sustained his own title for about 60 years. It's a Marvel book, which is going to have more value anyway. So even in this significantly lower grade, it's a much more valuable book. And then the Batgirl, very much a supporting character, a very popular one. We've seen her in TV and the movies. And we likely will again. So the Batgirl, we did see there's a lot of news around Batgirl over about the last 4 years. There was an announcement that Joss Whedon was going to do a movie, and that never materialized. After he'd stepped in on the Justice League movie to finish that, and then the problems that he had with complaints from cast members, and then the movie that was supposed to go to HBO Max, it never got released. However, I think it would be foolish to think that we won't see Batgirl, whether as part of a Batman property or as something on her own in the reasonably near future. She's one of, I would say, easily the top 5 DC female characters that they have. And so we'll see how they incorporate that either into the Matt Reeves universe or into the other DC universe, what James Gunn does with it. This book is staying in, this is going to go to my daughter, and that's going to be an upgrade for her 5.5. And then the Daredevil, we'll see what we do with this. I don't think I'm going to keep it long term, but that's a very nice book. Now with Daredevil, we're at the height of Daredevil right now, and I think we are seeing, you know, a lot of popularity surrounding the character coming off of She-Hulk and in anticipation of his own series. He was the headliner of that Netflix roster of shows, and Charlie Cox is a very popular portrayal of the character. We've seen that it's kind of avoided the dip. Like, it started to dip and then it said, nope, we're going to course correct there a little bit. So Daredevil has been holding its value. I think there are two reasons for that. That he's been significant in the MCU on 3 occasions in the last year. His appearance in No Way Home, which was anticipated but not confirmed until the movie actually dropped. The announcement that he's getting his own TV series, and then his appearance in the She-Hulk show, including the yellow costume. So the other factor is that, and there were a lot of people saying this, you know, a year or so ago, it was an undervalued Marvel key. It's one of those early Marvel heroes. He's a little bit after most of them, but you have Fantastic Four, Hulk, Spider-Man, Thor, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, X-Men, and he's right there. And one of the interesting things about Daredevil is he is really the only character from that era. And remember, Marvel was limited in how many titles they could distribute every month because they were using the distribution company that essentially was controlled by DC Comics. So DC, in order to avoid the competition, and that's why we had characters in kind of books that, like Tales of Suspense, Tales to Astonish, Strange Tales, that in 1968 broke into their own titles. But Daredevil had his own title all along. And he's the only character that premiered, solo character. He premiered in issue number 1 of his own series and continued that run all the way into the modern age. There's no other character, either Marvel or DC, that did that. So he does have kind of a special place in comic book history, and he is becoming more popular with his portrayal in now the MCU. So let me know what you think about these comics, what you think about the grades, and the what you think the trajectory of these comics is going forward. So again, I'd like to thank everyone for stopping by. I am very grateful for everyone that watches and likes and comments on my videos. In the meantime, you can take a look at a couple of my other videos here. And this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.